And welcome in everybody to the interview. How is it going? I'm gonna pop a little more light on my face here because I should show up a bit more. There we go. Welcome to everybody. So tonight, as you can see, I am joined by the amazing, the incredible, the talented MystiveDev, the creator of Mirrorforge, the game that many of us have played by now. Welcome on in. Introduce yourself. Who would mind?
Hey there, everybody. I already have the stream on my other monitor, so I'm reading the chat. So, as you guys know, I'm Bobby. I'm MystiveDev. I'm the developer of Mirrorforge, and thank you, Sid, for inviting me here. And I hope we're gonna have a good play, like in Phasmo, because
Well, we'll see.
I've played only the training. Yeah, I've played only the training. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, Sid. I've played Dishonored these 2 days, so I'm very good at hiding. That means that maybe I can stay in the van and just hide there while you hunt the ghosts. Is that okay?
So you're learning from Kissy how to play the game. Hide in the van. Totally got it.
So probably subconsciously, this Phasmophobia play will be like a payback to me because I get
Ooh.
pretty easily scared.
Okay. All right. So we got they were a terrible addition, I'm hearing in chat. I mean,
hey there, Becky.
well, welcome in. Welcome in back. But no, I listen. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be interviewed. I'm honestly honored because while I do have podcasts and stuff, I don't typically interview, this type of thing. It's usually a casual chat. So I really appreciate you doing this. And it's going to be weird because I'm facing here to look like I'm facing you, but I got to look to my right so I can actually see your face and reaction. So this should be fun. You know what I'll do? It's over to my other scene. There we go. Now it looks like a little more casual, a little more chill, realistic. So yeah, so let's just get right into it, right? Like, let's talk about Mirrorforge. Let's talk about your going into being a solo dev. I guess I'm curious what brought you to Mirrorforge and what brought you to solo dev life, as you call it. When was your initial I'm done with the business world. I'm gonna go create video games for a living.
That's a hard one because like I'm very bad with memory, but
Same. You're in
but
good company.
yeah, but like it was probably maybe 8 years ago, and surprise, Mirrorforge is not my first game. I started as a 3D artist, like I was doing modeling, texturing, and just a second, let me just see because I can hear my voice on the stream
Oh,
like
you're
an
hearing.
echo.
Oh, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So I started like 8 years ago as a modeler, doing modeling, texturing, animation. I was doing a bit of level design, but at first I was a freelancer working on Upwork, like my part-time job, while I had a full-time job working as a digital marketeer.
Mm-hmm.
But as you guys, I'm a gamer too, so I love games. I love playing games, and I always admired the game developers and those companies that make those games because I'm a creative person. I was also a musician. So one
Okay.
thing that brought me into game development was the ability to create worlds and tell stories. So probably that would be the main reason why I decided to do game development. And after a couple of projects, I worked on hyper casual games. I worked on some RTS games. There was this game like during the I don't know if I should say it on Twitch during the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
where there was this client who asked me to do some models for a game, and then I decided like I wanted to start a game of my own. So I had a friend who was a programmer. I was the artist, and we started working on our first game, Alan Sharp,
Right.
and we formed Mystive Studios. But Alan Sharp was like a game that I worked on in my free time. I wasn't a full time indie dev back then.
Okay.
So I worked on that game like for 6 years.
Really
I
quick, if
learned
you don't mind my asking, what was Alan Sharp in like a because it is still available. I mean, I know you're not thrilled with the result, but it is still out there. So what's that one about? If you don't mind my asking.
Yeah, so you're gonna find it surprising if I tell you guys, but don't buy the game.
I was trying to
the,
avoid that part of this thing, but that's fair. See, I
yeah,
love your honesty. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say don't buy the game because honestly, like we've worked on it for 6 years, and I can say that that game is my most successful failure. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
I learned a lot of stuff like regarding Unreal Engine, regarding modeling, texturing stuff, and level design, and so on. Financially, it made me quit my job and open a studio, like register a company, MystiveDev, and go on full time. But on the other side, it was 6 years of work, and I lost a friendship because of that. So we
Oh,
separated our ways with the developer. We aren't working anymore
that's
together.
unfortunate.
Yeah, so and we released like only episode 1 on Steam, and then we separated, so the IP split. And
Okay.
even if I want to now, I can't work on Alan Sharp because like the IP is split, and if I start working, we're gonna have problems with the
It
developers.
becomes a
So
contractual thing, right, or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Nobody wants to deal with contract crap like that.
yeah, in a way. So I thought a lot about it, like whether should I continue game development, and realized that I love it.
Yeah.
So I decided to give it a go by myself, and that's how I started in Mirrorforge.
Okay.
Um, so I'm gonna say to everyone here, guys, sorry for any bugs you experienced in Mirrorforge because I'm not a programmer and I was learning as I was working. So I'm a 3D artist. I did like the models for the monsters, I did the animations, did the level design and stuff. And for the programming, it was basically trial and error. But then I found a programmer who was working part time with me, like later on, and he helped me a lot. So huge thanks to him. So yeah, that's how I started basically Mirrorforge.
Okay.
So it's basically 8 years since I started working in game development.
Wow. Okay, so you've got some time under your belt. You've got some good experience, and and a really important thing that you said with Alan Sharp, something I think is a life lesson in general. My most successful failure. That is a fantastic way to describe it because you're not sitting here complaining, oh, I did this and that with the game and it just didn't work. And no, like you're sitting here and you took that lesson, that very hard lesson, because that was your first foray into like really designing a game and getting into it. And I'll be honest, that probably would have demoralized a lot of people and made them step away from it, Like, oh my God, all this effort. And that I don't know, I'm not putting words in your mouth. That may or may not have happened, but you're certainly not presenting that here today. You've taken an experience and you push it into doing something incredible, which is making
Yeah,
Mirrorforge.
well, one thing I realized, like after I finished with Alan Sharp, I started reading a lot of entrepreneurial books
Okay.
and a lot of self-improvement books, which helped me a lot, helped me immensely regarding like me being as a person, my character, and also about business. So when I became a full-time indie dev, those books were the things that led me. And there was a very good quote there, which said, "Do not regret the failures, embrace them, because if you see them like lessons, the success will come eventually. So we need to learn from our mistakes, and that's what I did. Like I'm learning from every single mistake I do, so I can be better like later on down the road."
And that's an amazing lesson, but that's not that's not an easy thing to do. That like just reading it or hearing somebody say, oh, this is just it's a lesson, you're going to grow from this. Like so many people would be like, go to hell. Like, no, I love that thing. But no, like I respect that attitude. That's actually an attitude that a lot of us should, myself included in certain ways, should adopt. So good for you. All right, so
Thank you.
let's talk Mirrorforge. You said it in the description of the game. It's sort of a open world, Silent Hill inspired, also Stranger Things inspired. What was it that like I just love this game so much. I want to create my own thing in its image, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill. Although honestly, I've only like played the first one, and I've
Hmm.
watched the rest of it on YouTube
Okay.
because I don't have console. I'm a PC player, so
Okay.
I was playing the Silent Hill one. Like I was visiting a friend and playing the game from time to time. But I was fascinated with the story and the characters, and I found like a couple of Silent Hill books which I read, and I really loved the story itself. So that inspired me to start working on Mirrorforge.
Right.
Although um, one thing, there was one misconception with the community. When I say Silent Hill inspired, I didn't mean the mechanics or I don't know the camera view. It was basically like the aesthetics in some places,
Yeah, I'm
and
surprised anybody thought that
yeah,
because I assumed the vibe more than anything, not mechanics.
yeah. So it's for the Stranger Things part, is there's the hangar where
Hmm.
there's like dimensional travel and stuff and so on. Uh, but I was trying to create something different in a way by incorporating the Mesopotamian mythology.
Yeah.
And regarding that part,
I was going
regarding
to
the
ask you
Mesopotamian,
that was going to be a question. What brought you there? Because that required quite a bit of research on your part. Like, so you really decided to take like, ooh, there's an entire cake, and I'm going to take a bite of the whole thing all at once. You're doing the development, you're doing the programming, you're doing the art, and now, let's do some scholarly research too into ancient Mesopotamia. What was that about? I have to ask.
I was thinking a lot because I'm a huge fan of Lovecraft and
Oh,
things
okay.
like beyond our comprehension,
Yes.
like those like Cthulhu and Azathoth and so on. But I was thinking of finding something different. And when I thought about old gods and stuff, Odin and Thor have been used in Marvel.
Sure.
Then we have like the Greek gods, which are also used a lot in movies. And then I found the Mesopotamian
Goodbye.
mythology, and I found it in a way like I was looking for what is the oldest civilization in the world that we know like the least about. So I
Hmm.
found the Sumerians and I started digging a lot and reading in that mythology, and that's how like there was an interesting story I read there which said like so the Summer believed that there were these entities who descended from the sky, and I was like,
Right.
oh my god, this is perfect for my game. I said those are like Cthulhu, those are like all
Hmm.
powerful alien beings, and this fact helps a lot to the story. So yeah, everything fit like into a single piece. So that's
Yeah, but
how
then
I.
you have to go
Mhm.
down this rabbit hole of like learning all of the, as much of it as will apply anyway. Um, all this old lore and these names and locations and things like that. And then you then went and added all of the background stuff that doesn't necessarily come into the gameplay itself, but is just sort of sets the tone of like, this is why this person, this god came back and all of that stuff. So great job.
Yeah, thank you. Well, if you think about it, like Lamashtu is basically Lilith in religion. So
Mm.
uh, when I found out about Lamashtu, I did a little bit of digging and stuff like that. I researched her a lot, and then I found out about Anu and what was the other god, Enlil, his son, and I tried incorporating all of those into Mirrorforge, but Lamashtu is the main antagonist.
Okay.
So, and I found out, like, I was very surprised to find out that Lamashtu is, in a way, the wife of Pazuzu, who is the demon from The Exorcist. So it was kind of cool.
Wow. That's a hell of a crossover.
Yeah.
Ooh, there you go. Next game, Exorcism. Be fun.
I'm gonna tell you a funny thing.
Mhm.
Yesterday night I dreamt a very weird dream. I'm not gonna say
You
it's gonna be a yeah. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a game, but
okay?
the
Okay.
dream was I was inside like some construction site, and I wasn't like myself, but I was a game character, and there were three other people like in multiplayer with me, and we were chased by a cursed bulldozer.
So
And the
like,
bulldozer, like a how do you call it? Bulldozer,
yeah.
like yeah. So it was like the machine was chasing us and having red lights and
Okay.
going all around the construction site and trying to go over us.
Hmm.
And when I woke up, I was like, this could be kind of a cool multiplayer idea. Although it would definitely be like a small game. It's not like a big project.
Yeah. 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 Something like oh God, what was the name of that Stephen King movie with a car? I keep thinking
Oh
Carrie. It's not
yeah,
Carrie. It's not Carrie. It's somebody in chat help me. Stephen King movie. Keeping a
yeah.
construction.
I can't remember the name, although I know about which movie you're talking about.
Sorry, I just read a good comment in chat. I offer Mirrorforge 2 Construction Nightmares. I love that. Like a Choo Choo Charles, but I'm trying. What's the name of the movie slash book Stephen King one where it's a possessed car and uh, Christine. Thank you,
Oh
Christine.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's fun. I mean, there you go. You look forward to that. Maybe as an element of a next game. Who knows? I mean, after what you did in Mirrorforge, anything's possible coming out of your brain, sir.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. All right. So well, I want to talk. So this part, I'm kind of weird with the things I get excited to talk about. Because I kind of talked to you about this in our pre-interview, but I want to talk about when you the inception of like, here's my game, here's my idea, this is what I'm gonna do with it, and this is the project I'm working on. So when did you officially start working on Mirrorforge? Like, do you have a date that you know, or some kind like a part of a year that you remember
I think it was like September, probably. So
of
yeah,
21?
I think it was September 21 when I started working on it. 21 or
When did you
yeah,
release
21.
when did you release the demo?
I think it was the first demo was in February, and the second
Okay,
demo was during
September.
Gamescom. Yeah,
Yeah.
August.
Oh, August. Okay, yeah, because I remember you released it right before you were originally going to release it, and then it pushed. Okay, so you start working in September. You get this really cool demo out that we all
Thank
know
you.
at this point. Like, I mean, that's where we all learn of your game. And I was telling you when we were talking, I discovered you as I was looking for games to play on Steam. Every so often, I'll go through Steam and I'll see what's upcoming or brand new release, and it's always these tiny little games and this and that. And I saw Mirrorforge there, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And it showed demo. I was like, oh, cool. I love a demo because it's like, oh, put it on wishlist, put it on wishlist. But no, there was a demo there, and then selfishly, I tracked you down on Twitter, and I saw that somebody else had posted, "Hey, gonna be streaming Mirrorforge on stream tonight." I was like, "Well, hell yeah, I'm gonna do that." And you showed up in chat, and were you just were you blown away by the gaming skills that you saw on stream that night? Because I was blown away by my own performance after I kept falling over and over and over and over again. um,
well, I remember like seeing you play the game, and the moment when you tried to jump. I can't remember what I had back then. Like I had some beams or something that you had to
they
like
were
parkour
broken.
over.
They were broken beams,
Yeah,
and there was no plank there. And then you said something. You had been thinking about adding a plank, and then I remember. I'm fairly sure I remember the comment. You said, "This is bullshit. I'm adding a plank."
yeah, exactly. So that's how I added the plank, and there was the Easter egg underneath it. It was here, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Because I jokingly said, "Add my name there," and you took me up on the challenge. Um, so this is something I wanted to talk about with you with regard to that, because I think it's an important conversation to have as far as the symbiosis that exists between streamers and game devs, right? Like, you have a game, you have a dream of this thing that you're creating, and you of course want to monetize that. I'm a streamer, I make content. Whether I monetize it or not, it's something I want to do. I want to push content. So this relationship that exists between devs and streamers um, is it just works. Is it something that you had kind of planned for? Like, hey, I want to get my thing out to streamers so they stream it, or is it just something that just kind of happened naturally and you just sort of went along with it? Because I mean, you weren't just in my stream; you were in everyone's stream I ever saw play the game. Almost, it's amazing. I'm like, sir, do you sleep? That's still a question I have, because I have Kissy and Peggy and other people in chat who will yell at you. Better be sleeping these days. Game development's over.
Yeah, sleeping a lot these days, but I haven't slept a lot back then. If you remember,
Yeah,
I told you I've been working like
I
there were
know.
days where I worked like for 40 hours, but
Mhm.
now I'm okay.
Good.
So honestly, I wasn't planning on anything like with the streamers and stuff. It basically just happened because, like I told you before, I'm not an introvert person,
Hmm.
but I'm not an extrovert too. So I'm somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
and I love hanging out with people. And today, like when I met you and I met Becky
Everset
and I
and
met
Becky.
yeah, of course, and Lisa and so on.
Hmm.
you guys and your communities were so good and so friendly that I felt part of this community. And I, in a way, although we haven't seen each other in real life,
Hmm.
I felt you guys like friends, and
Yeah,
it was kind of cool. So I was like, why not hang out and talk with these people? It doesn't have to be Mirrorforge. You can play any other game, and I will
sure.
come so and just watch you and talk with you. How's your day and so on. And that's how it all happened in a way, I guess.
Yeah, and honestly, like I know I was honored, and I know other people have said the same thing. And then of course you all you tapped a number of us on the shoulder and said, "Hey, got a couple lines if you're interested." And yeah, of course, in a heartbeat, absolutely. Um, but this is something I wanted to address with you, and I talked to you about it before stream because this is like I was already impressed with the fact that you showed up and you did all the things, and it was just such a cool experience to see you, join the communities. But what was the original release date for Mirrorforge?
I
Like
think it
April something?
was, yeah, it was in April, although I don't know the exact date.
Okay, let's call it April
Um,
10th, whatever.
yeah. So the
You
original date
hmm?
was in April, but like uh, back then I might say the Mirrorforge script itself changed a lot throughout like the months. There were a lot of changes to the story and everything. And back then I thought it's a reasonable date to release it in April because the story was so much different than the one that's now. And then the other things happened. Then I got a publisher, and that's how everything changed.
Right.
And we changed the date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't gloss over that detail. I'm not gonna let you do that. No, 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 no. So okay, so I'm gonna call you out because you you're a solo dev, you don't have a day job. This is your thing. This is what you're doing, right? So the risk is pretty high, right? I mean, I'm not sitting here talking about your financial situation, but like the way it's stated, the risk you're saying you've put out there is really high in the sense that I'm going to call them out exactly. The risk is high. You have a date, you want to set, you are trying to make money off of this thing, but instead of doing that, you say I'm going to postpone until September, which would be one thing, but you didn't have the publisher then. You didn't have the publisher until afterwards. So you took this huge risk in saying, no, I want to make sure whatever game I make is going to be a quality game and that the people who are going to play it are going to have a good experience. That takes a hell of a lot of integrity. I don't know if I would have that kind of integrity. So I was genuinely impressed by that. So then you move past April, you meet, I think it was in around May, you met DreadXP.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so talk about the experience with them a little bit. Like how was it? I know um you met with them in person, did you? Or just
No.
over the
So yeah. So honestly, I know this is gonna sound like cringe and cliche a bit, but it was you guys in the community that helped me achieve that. In a way, like the Mirrorforge demo, the first demo that was released, gained so much traction and so many people saw it that it like drew the attention of publishers, and that's how DreadXP reached out to
Are
me.
you kidding me?
Uh, so that's how like DreadXP reached out to me, and uh, they wrote to me like, "Hey, we saw the demo, we loved it. So would you like to have a call with us?" And that's how everything started. So
That's amazing.
yeah, but it wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for you guys, the streamers and the content creators who already played the
Oh,
game,
yeah.
and everyone who gave like positive feedback on on the first demo. So yeah, that helped a lot.
That's awesome. I mean, I didn't know that part of the story. That's so cool. You hear that, everybody out there? You guys, and I'll even say I'm included. Whatever. I don't like to compliment myself, but that's fantastic. That's a great story. All right, so you meet these guys. You're on board with them, and then you start working. So September was still the date originally, right? And
Hmm.
then I guess was it due to the onboarding process that kind of pushed things out a little bit? Like, hey, we're gonna really deconstruct here, and we want to make sure whatever you're putting out. Like, what was it that pushed it from September to December? Or can
The
you not talk about that?
September No worries. So the September date was placed by me, like when I changed the date from April to September,
Mhm.
and that was before the publishers. So
Right.
we haven't decided on an exact date with them.
Okay.
But as we approached September, we realized that like more polishing is needed, and I was working alone on most of the stuff. So that's how we pushed it to December. And December was like the final date, and the game had to be released. So
Right.
that's how like when we reached the December part, we had to release the game. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell your community the story I told you earlier, like the
Sure.
one what happened the last day.
Oh
So
God, yeah.
guys, that was like I'm so happy that I didn't have heart attack or anything, but
We
like
are too.
on the yeah on the last day, like one day before release, basically it's not even a day, it's maybe like a couple of hours before release. I was working like for 40 hours and fixing and polishing the final stuff before the launch. And suddenly, the NPCs and the monsters in the final area, the one where you fight Lamashtu, stopped working. They weren't moving, they weren't detecting the player or anything. So I was trying to find a solution, and I found one on the internet, and I've tried to implement it, and voila, all of the monsters started working, and I was like, oh my god, I finally reached the end. And
Hmm.
then I go back to check some other parts of the game when I realized that all of the monsters throughout the entire game stopped working. None of the
Oh
monsters worked on
God.
any of the levels, and I was like, oh my
Easy
god,
game,
what am I gonna
everybody. Just walk on through. It's fine.
so I was like, oh my god! So none of the monsters are moving. The woman monster that's chasing you, she wasn't spawning there.
Right.
Uh, there were these depression monsters in the
Oh God.
industrial
This.
zone,
Uh
like
huh.
the second level. They were just standing there, and if you come close to them, they weren't doing anything. And I panicked so much. I wrote to a couple of other developers who are working in Unreal Engine and are part of the DreadXP community. And they tried to help me out. And we were trying to find a solution for 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
And like the time was coming close. We had to launch the game, and the monsters aren't working. And I don't know, maybe it was a miracle, but something happened. I found some weird solution that made the monsters work. Although those monsters were, I can say, maybe a bit worse than the monsters I had before. So imagine working on those monsters the entire year. They suddenly stop working, and when I bring them back, the code works um, a little worse than the one before, and it was so crazy. And I was like, yeah, that should do it. Like that should be enough for the launch.
Right. I mean, well, 40 hours. I mean, come on. Like you knew what you were getting into, as you approach
Yeah.
the end. There's always going to be that last minute thing, but wow, you must have been panicking because that's a game-breaking thing. Like none of the monsters work to kill the characters, so yeah, like someone said, easy mode. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you describe that day, full panic mode, and then boom, it's released. So now it's the day of release, it's out of your hands, right? Like what are you thinking? Like, what's going through your mind? How do you deal with that day? What's the
I
first
think
thing
that
you did? I mean, all of it.
I think I slept a lot that day,
I
but
bet.
like the evening, I think most of the indie devs will agree on this one. But the hardest parts of one of the hardest parts in being a game developer is waiting for the reviews on Steam.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of review will it be? Will the game work or not? Will the players like it? That's the hardest part, like psychologically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was constantly like checking out what players are saying, what people are saying, what streamers are commenting, and so on. It was probably like from the entire year, it was probably the hardest day for me. Like this anticipation, this anxiety, waiting for it to see like how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, okay, so then let's call it the first week. All right. So, the first day you're passed out for 12 hours. Then you start having the nervous sweats like, "Oh god, there's no reviews up. What are they going to look like?" So, the reviews start to trickle in a little bit. You start seeing people play your game. What's your feeling? Like I've already seen some of the feedback, which whatever. Talking about the real feedback. Like what's your feeling of the real feedback of the game? In
I
that week, in
mean,
that first like week or so.
yeah, well, there were some people who were right. There were some bugs that needed
Hmm.
fixing, and I felt entitled that I need to fix those bugs as soon as possible. So the first week was no different than the production of the game. So I kept
Okay.
like grinding and fixing stuff and so on.
So you were just
The
still
only
focused in game dev mode.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The only thing, like the only different thing from being like a solo indie dev and a solo indie dev with a publisher is like when you do some fixes on bugs, I don't know, maybe collisions, maybe like some programming bugs, it needs to be checked by QA team and approved. So you
Yep.
can't like I can't say like I'm gonna fix those bugs and just gonna push a new
Well,
build,
especially
new
because you're
patch or
with a
something.
publisher at that point. Like
Yeah,
there's a certain sequence. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So that needs to be verified before it's like set live.
Mhm.
So that's very important because there are like QA teams who go thoroughly through the fixes, check everything whether it's working or not, like from the things that I write down that I fixed, and then they push the button. So that's the difference between having a publisher and doing it yourself. Like if I was only myself, it would have probably been like I'm gonna fix a couple of bugs, press live, fix another bugs, fix other bugs, then again press live. But
Right.
this way, everything needs to be approved.
Okay. I mean that makes sense, of course, because they're trying to protect their asset at that point, right? Like they're the publisher now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Um, I mean, I discovered a bug. Like, I mean, I reached out to you, personally, and I was like, "Hey, there's this thing," and you were on it, man. A lot of pressure in that time, and a lot of moving parts, and I'd say you nailed it pretty good. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So since the release, we're going on what, 3 months, right? No, 2 months, 2 full months.
2 months, yeah.
Yeah. So what are your feelings after the fact? Like, are you are you completely satisfied with everything, how it went, or are there things you wish you had done differently? Maybe tweaks here and there to the main story, or whatever. I mean, is there anything like that that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, there will always be things that you could have done differently. There are like things that I could have done better, but uh, the most important thing I try to remind myself is not to dwell on the past and just learn from those mistakes and focus on future projects.
Yeah.
So if there's like I don't know maybe a game breaking bug, I'm gonna go back and like fix it and patch it up and stuff like that. But the important thing is to like refocus my energy on something new, but at the same time analyze what players were saying, what players liked, what was the feedback from previous games, so I
Hmm.
can make the next project even better than the one before. Because like after all, the most important thing is for people to enjoy it. That's what games are. Games are like products for people to enjoy it. That's why
Yeah.
we play the games.
That makes 100% sense. Absolutely. So that's gonna bring me to the part I'm sure everybody wants to ask you about. But you put out a tweet recently, my friend. You put out a tweet about a friend that you brought on board and you guys are going to do stuff together. So I don't want to be like, "Oh my god, what's next?" because you literally just finished this game that took you, all that time, energy and effort, and but I got to ask, what can you, if anything, is going on in that mind about the next one?
Uh, so at the moment, there's nothing too specific because I had like 7 or 8 different ideas, like totally different ideas with horror flavor, of course. But
Yeah.
uh, I'm gonna just go briefly through them because I'm not really sure if any of them will be chosen. But I had like RPG horror, I had action horror, I had like um, Resident Evil like third person horror. I had a lot of
Okay.
different stuff. But one thing I'm pretty sure I'm gonna add in the next game, whatever it is, it's gonna be guns. So I'm gonna add
Okay.
a lot of shooting.
Okay.
I mean a
A
lot.
more
Maybe
fast
if
paced, or just the idea of you able to destroy the creatures or whatever.
yeah, I'm just talking about the idea. I'm not really sure whether it'll be like an action shooter, maybe like Doom or I don't know.
Okay.
But or maybe if it's like a survival horror, I'll need to pay attention to the resource management, like Resident Evil. I'm
Okay.
not really sure, but we're also discussing with the other game developer about a multiplayer game, and we haven't landed on it exactly whether it's going to be single player or multiplayer. But if we do decide to go with multiplayer, it's gonna be hell a lot of work because
Yeah.
it'll probably be. I'm thinking maybe 2 years, I guess, instead of one. Because firstly, from with mirrorforge, I work. There were days when I worked like 18 hours a day, and those days were like a lot,
Yeah.
and I was pretty exhausted. So maybe it's better to think that through and make it 2 years instead of one. And multiplayer is much harder than single player. You need to know a lot of stuff about how servers work, how clients work,
Oh God,
and
that's
everything in
right. Yeah.
between. Yeah, so and the ping and stuff like that. So uh, it's way more complicated than single player, but we have some pretty cool ideas that we want to implement. So I guess we'll see. Probably it'll be revealed like in the next 4 months or so. So yeah,
Okay.
we'll see.
No, it's not too long, guys. I mean, think 4 months from now. Um, yeah, somebody said something in chat that you talked about. It was Tony said some people, for some mysterious reason, expected, I guess, a Silent Hill duplicate, and it's a totally different game. It's like, yeah, guys, inspired is the word. Inspired by. It means you're drawing inspiration from the elements of the game, not a duplicate. It's so, yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to blame anyone or any of the players because like everyone sees Inspired differently, I guess.
Hmm.
But there were quite a few people who thought that this game is going to be a Silent Hill clone, like
Right.
third-person camera and resource management, stuff like that. And when I started working on Mirrorforge, I guess my game development depends on my mood and what games I play at that moment.
Right.
And when I started Mirrorforge, I remember playing Visage. I was
Oh
playing Layers
God.
of Fear. I was playing what else was Outlast. So I was playing those games and like those kind of in a way I can't say inspire me because there's not so much inspiration from those games, but you can see the gameplay style and everything like quite similar to those games. So probably now since I'm playing Dishonored and Doom,
Hmm.
maybe you can like how do I say it? Maybe you can uh, I can't find the real
It's
word.
okay.
Yeah, maybe you can see what kind of game I'll be working on. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be fast paced,
Predict what kind of
but
game you're
it
working on.
might be. Yeah,
Fair enough. Okay, and that's okay. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's not even been out 2 months yet. I think it came out on the 6th of December, right? Something like that, right? So
Y-
yeah, barely 2 months. You got time.
yeah. Mirror Forge as the game itself performed quite good, and I'm quite satisfied so far. And as you know, like games can be played like throughout your entire life. They're not like one thing that's only like now and it will disappear later. So far it's good, and I'm quite satisfied, like I said. So um, I think I'll probably just be on the watch out for some game breaking bugs and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and I'll like refocus all my energy on the next project. I forgot to mention, Sid. Like you told me, like earlier that you read my tweet about the new guy joining me.
Yes.
So yeah, I was thinking a lot about it. Like I was doing all the stuff myself, and there was this programmer who's helping me from time to time. But I had this problem because that programmer was working full time at another company, and he didn't always have the time to help me out.
Okay.
So there were times like I was panicking and oh my god, players found the bug. We need to fix it right now. I don't know how to fix it. And he's like, I, I don't know if I can do it right now. Maybe we can do it tomorrow. And I was like,
Oh.
no, I need it
No,
now. I
no,
need
no,
it
now. Can
now.
I hire you, please? For God's sake.
Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, so Mirrorforge. I mean, I can say that Mirrorforge helped me in a way to hire him full time now. So
Yeah.
for the next project, I'm not gonna be a solo dev, but we're gonna be two developers. I'm gonna focus more on like some small programming stuff, not so much on the complex systems,
Mhm.
and I'll focus more on the art.
So
And
the
the other
art and the
guy will
story.
be yeah.
Okay.
Well, if it's a multiplayer game, I guess there won't be like as much story as Mirrorforge.
Sure.
It'll be, and I'm also thinking about that, like for the next game to be more, not more, but 100% focused on replayability and like different randomization of levels and stuff like that. And maybe I don't know, I'm not gonna say anything else
Yeah,
because I'm
no, no,
not
no,
really
no.
sure. Yeah, I'm not really
Just
sure if that project's gonna like come to fruition.
and that's okay. And no one's gonna hold you to anything here. Trust me. Not gonna sit here. No, Mystive said on my podcasty thing that he's gonna. No, not gonna happen.
No
Um,
worries.
well, that's gonna bring me sort of to my last-ish subject. So I kind of talked to you a little bit about it before stream, but Brian, Warka, MystiveDev, I'm just saying I'd love to see a MystiveDev stream. You sitting there, talking through your game development, something that you said you thought about doing, right?
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about it while I was designing Mirrorforge,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow the conditions weren't like the ones I wanted.
Sure.
So probably, I don't know, probably for the next game, I'll do like Twitch streams more often. And I also just finished creating my own Discord channel, like MystiveDev Games. Although,
Where's my invite to your Discord?
I mean, I'm still setting up
I know,
because
I know.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm like very noob with Discord. I only know how
Yeah.
to join a channel, how to chat. I don't know anything else, and I had a very hard time setting up those bots and everything. So it's still in development, but once I finish it, I'm gonna like share it on social media, and I'm gonna post updates and stuff. And here's something that I won't share on social media. I'm gonna share it here, guys. For the next game, I'm thinking maybe to do an alpha version, closed alpha, and those people who are in the Discord channel will be like in a way testers for the next game.
You heard it, folks. Keep an ear out, keep an eye out, all that stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm terrible at Discord too. The fact that I even have one is only a miracle because of my amazing moderators. Otherwise, I don't know what's doing time. But yeah, there are people who would help you if you were adamant about doing it. I just think it's a lot of fun to be a part of that process. Like I was in a lot of Brian's streams when he was going through Mortuary Assistant, and there's something like obviously you don't want spoilers, but just to get an idea of like what the game dev is thinking, and I don't know, it's weird. Like you kind of described it earlier, like we became like friends, and there is this thing that exists, like people want that interaction. It's like
Yeah,
the people that are streaming and playing the games and the people who are making the games, like that's just a perfect relationship that and you do it so well. You really do it so well. So like the idea of you doing your own stream, I mean, yeah, everybody would be down to see that for sure. So if that ever becomes something that you do, let us know. We'll be happy to support and advertise, like shout you out and all that stuff. And I mean, that would be awesome.
thank you. It means a lot.
Absolutely, of course, of course. Um, all right, so I told you at the beginning of the stream, is there anything that you want to ask me or anybody in chat or anything like that at all? Because, you might want to ask some questions of the folks that have played your game.
Oh, hey yo.
I want to ask you said and a couple of the guys in the community, but
Hmm.
it's not specifically about Mirrorforge, but more I want to say like what is the favorite part of horror games that makes you play the game? Like, is it game mechanics? Is it like jump scares? Is it like the tension? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe the story itself?
Hmm. For me, I'll tell you, it's three things. It's puzzles. I love puzzles. I love figuring shit out, solving little mysteries. So granted, the more complicated, I'm only capable of so much. But no, I love puzzles in games. The more puzzles, the more little things to put together and figure out, the better. um Jump scares, of course, because I never historically played horror games. Phasmophobia, my first horror game I ever played. So for me, that experience of like the uncertainty, the little Jack in the Box kind of experience, like I love that. And story. I think a good story goes a long way. A good story can support a badly designed game. A good story can support a badly, created movie. Like a good story in anything can really make up for some bad stuff. So I always look for like a good story. And like I was telling you before, Mirrorforge is a great story, but I gotta tell you, I know you said it was a douche chilly ending. I disagree. I love the ending when he's doing that little like, "Come on, we got this, honey. Let's do it again." You know, like I loved it because here's a game that for the entire time took itself completely seriously, the story and everything, and then you're like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna give that one to you." I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know like if people of your community saw like my YouTube videos that I posted about the endings and stuff, but um, I watched a streamer. I can't remember the name, but she said like, MystiveDev, you got an explaining to do. What was that ending? Like,
Really? Yeah.
yeah, some people didn't understand the ending, but the thing was like, for those of you guys who don't know,
Oh,
they got
spoiler
stuck
alert,
in
by the
that.
way, for anybody who hasn't played the game. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. So they got stuck in this dimension because Thomas refused Anu, and since Lamashtu is imprisoned, they can't use the mirrors anymore. The mirrors were a side effect of Lamashtu, and they are stuck in this dimension. So what happens next? What are they gonna do? If you remember, the Silent Hill Easter egg mentioned that only 20% of the population survived. That means that, I don't know, maybe they will try to survive in this dark reality, or maybe they'll go Terminator style, just form like a rebellion or something,
Oh,
or
there you
some
go.
organization like Metro style, and just start like looking for survivors.
You know what? Maybe down the line we do Mirrorforge 2. Just saying, you could use that whole story arc to bring us back to reality. Who knows? Something for way down the line. That's pretty cool though.
It'll be cool to see like the seal of Nur is no longer working. Now you have a shotgun.
Right? That would be kind of cool. Yeah. No, I think that's brilliant. And again, I really respect how you handled the entire thing. It's a very well done game, and maybe I'm biased because and because we became friendly and because it was just such a huge part of the community. But I gotta say, I think that's kind of part of it too, because we want to see you succeed. We were all sort of vested into this game that we watched from this little baby form that it was to this longer form story. So yeah, I think it's pretty damn cool the way you ended up on it.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I'm just reading like Becky's writing. Lots of people have asked about a sequel. I got asked about this question a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm not really sure about a sequel because it's not up to me. So as you
Right.
know, Mirror Forge is part me, part Red XP. It needs to get approval before I can start working on anything related to Mirror Forge.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, again, it becomes their asset at that point, their IP, right? I mean,
Yeah,
because they essentially buy
yeah.
it, get it from you, and you. But I mean, you could whatever. I'm not going to get into maintaining relationships and all that down the line. That's a conversation for another day. But you never know, right? We'll just say that. Well, you never know.
Yeah.
So, well, what do you think? You think we did it? I covered everything I wanted to cover. I want to go back and chat, make sure we didn't miss any questions or anything. But otherwise, I think I'm ready to get you killed. I mean, to help you play Phasmophobia.
Yeah, I'm already inside. Are we still like?
You're still
Oh
in the
yeah,
lobby?
yeah. I can see your character here, like leaning over the table.
Nice, nice. Well, how about this? We'll take a few minute break, about 5 minutes, because I gotta get stuff set back up. I'm gonna get the code out to Beck and Tony has toes, who will be joining us tonight. Get my alerts back on and all that nonsense. And if you want to drop from Discord, we'll use in-game chat. How's that sound?
Yeah, sure thing.
Do not let him
Let me.
kill you. I don't know what you're talking about. Innocent man right here. You ever put me back into a game and I need to be the most innocent creature possible.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't played Phasmophobia like at all, so I don't know what to do, where to go. So
Ah,
I'll
we'll
just like
help you.
follow you guys.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It'll just be fun. And you know what? Honestly, it won't be part of the interview necessarily, but like Tony and Beck, when you guys come in, if you ask questions, and I'll be around to like hear it, so everybody in chat can hear. I think that'll be kind of cool. Sid kills all. Don't listen. You'll be perfectly safe. So all right, so let's drop from Discord, and then I will see you back in about 5 minutes or so. Sound good?
Sure thing, works for me.
Thank you, Mystive. I appreciate you, buddy. This is great, and I hope at some point we get to do it again as like an interview thing.
I'm looking forward to, man.
Yeah, man. All right. See you in a few.
See ya.